Hi class, welcome back to Photography 101. Today we're talking about camera settings. I don't know anything about camera settings yet, so hopefully this goes well. So you have three main camera settings. We're going to go through them in order, and then I'm going to explain what each of them does, how to set them, and all the guidelines that you need to know. Got it? Okay, our first camera setting is shutter speed. Photography is all about math, and today we're talking about fractions with shutter speed. So shutter speed is a fraction. It's measured by 1 over something. The denominator is what changes how fast our shutter is opening and closing. So for example, a normal shutter speed would be like 1 over 500. Okay, what the bottom number means is we're taking a photo at 1/500th of a second. So that's the rate our camera shutter is opening and closing. Got it? That doesn't have to do with the lens, that has to do with the camera. Now, the larger the denominator gets, the faster our shutter opens and closes, okay? Bigger denominator, faster shutter. So it's opening and closing at a smaller fraction. So the denominator gets bigger, fraction gets smaller, shutter speed gets quicker. So the smaller the fraction, the faster the shutter speed. The bigger the denominator, the faster the shutter speed. So as we increase it, our shutter gets faster and faster and faster. So what are we trying to take photos of today? We're just taking photos of objects in the classroom, right? That's right, we're taking photos of objects in the classroom, which means we're taking photos of still subjects. When you're taking photos of still subjects, you're going to be at a rate of 1 over 400. That's seconds. So 1/400th of a second or higher. Got it? The reason why is because if we go lower than this, then we risk our subject either moving slightly, this is more applicable for humans or pets, or we risk us accidentally shaking the camera and just not having a perfectly steady hand, and then the photo ends up blurry. So as a beginner, before you get really used to keeping your camera super steady, I want you to be at 1 over 400 or higher. And again, this is for digital, not film photography. Film photography is entirely different. Okay, so this is for still subjects. For moving subjects, you need to be at 1 over 1,000 or higher. And the reason why is because when something is moving and we want to take a photo of it, let's pretend there's a person running, we need to be able to freeze time. We need to be able to freeze that motion. And if your shutter is opening and closing too slow, it's catching someone's movement. And so it's going to blur the movement. So for example, if I have a person running like this, and I'm opening and closing at a rate of 1 over 100, it's going to be like this. Running, 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 open, close. And so I've caught 6 of their strides while the shutter was open. Shutter's not actually that slow, I'm just exaggerating. But while that person's running, I've caught 6 of their strides, and now in the photo, their strides are going to be blurry. But if I'm doing 1 over 1,000 and they're running, running, open, close, I caught 1 stride. Right while my shutter was opening and closing, I got 1 stride. It's frozen in time. That's why we need a higher shutter speed for moving subjects. So 1 over 1,000 or higher for moving subjects. Okay. Hey, what about those blurry photos I see people take on Instagram and stuff like that? How do they get those with the low shutter speed? Right, you get motion blur by doing that, by lowering your shutter speed when someone is moving. So pairing movement in front of the camera with a low shutter speed in camera is how you get that motion blur. But right now we're just going to focus on getting sharp images and not blurry images. Okay. Any questions? Okay, our second camera setting is called aperture or f-stop. We're going to call it f-stop for right now. F-stop in your camera is a little lowercase f followed by a number. So that could be f4.0, f2.8, something like that. There's sometimes a decimal, sometimes it's just a whole number. Now, some of you have kit lenses, which are the cheaper lenses that come bundled with the camera. Okay, and on those kit lenses, you can only go to a certain aperture. Usually that's f4.0 or f3.5. If you have a nicer lens, you can go lower than that, okay? What f-stop describes is the depth of field, which means how much of the photo is in focus, just to explain it really simply. So if you're trying to capture like a really tiny point, like the tip of a pencil or just someone's eye, something like that, you can be on a really low aperture. So less of the photo in focus, smaller aperture, got it? If you're trying to capture more of that, like you want 2 people, 5 people, 10 people, you're gonna start raising your aperture up. So a good rule of thumb is for one person, you can be somewhere between f1.8 to f2.8, okay? For 2 people, like couples, friends, mom and son, whatever, you're gonna be somewhere between f2.0 to f4.0. So like I said, if you have a kit lens and it only goes to 4.0, you're just gonna stay at 4.0 for both of these situations. Let me repeat that. If you have a kit lens and it only goes to f3.5 or 4.0, if you're taking photos of 1, 2, or even 3 people, you're just gonna leave it at 3.5 or 4.0, got it? This class is actually pretty good. Maybe I'll actually come back next week. Let's say you have 4 people, you're gonna be at like f5.6. If you have a large group of people, you're gonna be somewhere between f8 to f11. And you're gonna learn more about that with experience. This is just like a good starting range for these types of photos. Okay, so now that you know how to set your aperture, the last setting that you need to know about is ISO. ISO is the setting that controls how bright or dark our image is. So at the end, after we've set our shutter speed and then our f-stop, we're gonna set our ISO just to whatever it needs to be to properly expose our photo. By properly expose, I just mean not too light, not too dark. So just what you would want like your iPhone photo to look like. Just you can tell if something's too light or dark. You just want it to look like it looks in real life. Properly expose it. Generally, we want to stay below 1000 for ISO, but we'll talk more about ISO and everything that goes into it in a later class. Today, I just want you to focus on getting your shutter speed right, getting your aperture right, and then getting your ISO to whatever it needs to be at the very end. This is kind of the last thought for right now. Do I have any questions? Hey, my dad's a photographer. He mentioned something about your ISO always has to be low, like it has to be lower. Why didn't you tell us about that? Yes, they say that about ISO because when you start to raise your ISO up, you get noise in your image, which is like grain, loss of detail. It's not like a good type of grain or noise. It's bad. We don't want it. So that's why I say to stay below 1000, but there's more nuance that goes into it than this, and we're gonna focus more on that in a different class. Great job, class. You guys did amazing. Good luck taking photos of objects around the classroom. If you have any questions, comment them below in the comments and I'll answer them. And I'll see you guys back for next class next week. Good luck. Bye. That actually made sense.